Welcome back to Sports Legends of the Carolinas, and thank you for subscribing. I'm your host, Scott Fowler, and on this podcast, we speak with some of my favorite sports icons from the region I've covered for almost 30 years.
And for South Carolina, Dawn Staley!
Today, I'm delighted to have Coach Dawn Staley here with us. Staley, who is 52, has been the women's basketball head coach for the Gamecock since 2008. And her teams have made the Final Four in 4 of the past 7 NCAA women's basketball tournaments.
You're going to have a bad game. You might have a bad week. You might have a bad month. You might have a bad season. How do you come back from that? How do you continue to get up and do that? Do what you do knowing that you're not getting the results you want.
Thanks again for supporting this work. Here's the rest of our conversation. You've tried very intentionally, it seems like, to elevate women's basketball as a sport. And one of the most public examples, and I think one of the coolest examples, was what you did with the 2017 net and why you were inspired. And I know some of that story, but I hope you would tell it for us today as to why you did that.
Yeah. Well, 2 years before we won our national championship in 2017, Carolyn Peck, who was the first black coach, female coach, to win a national championship in 1999. She was an analyst doing some of our games, a lot of our games, and she pulled me to the side one shoot around, and she told me the story about one of her teammates gave her a piece of her national championship net. I think back, it was Tennessee, maybe she went to Tennessee, a good friend of hers. And she thought that paying it forward in this way and giving me a piece of her 1999 national championship net would be the perfect way that someone giving her their piece of the net and how it impacted her and how she was able to give it back. That was the most important thing. And she said, once you win your national championship, I just want you to return it to me and then pay it forward to someone else, another coach. And it took me probably another 2 years to figure out who I should give it to. And I actually wanted her to help me find that person because she was pretty good at it. She found me.
Right.
But we could never come to a good conclusion on who we would bestow it on. So I was doing an interview and the reporter asked me, had I given my piece of the net away yet? And I was like, no, I can't find the person to do it. And then I just thought about sharing it with other black coaches on the Division I level because I know the struggle and I know what that little piece of 9-line, what hope it brought to them. And I knew that every one of them would not win a national championship. But their national championship is maybe being a part of a first-generation graduate on their team. Maybe they needed some hope in everyday life and dealing with young people and parents and all of that. And if they can look and feel that piece of nylon and have the energy to hurdle, some of the obstacles that they're faced with, that's to me is a national championship like honor and award and celebration and all of those things. So I thought it was a great connection piece for black coaches.
And so that was sent to dozens of people, I guess, in the
about 70 coaches.
70. Wow.
And I may have missed one or two. They were quick to remind me that I need to keep cutting.
You really spliced that net up into a lot of different pieces. That's great, and shared it out to the world. And so, what are you going to do with the 2022 net? Have you decided yet?
Yeah, I haven't yet though. It takes me a little bit of time to figure out, the group. So I am going to give it to black journalists because their journey is similar. Like there are not a lot of black journalists in this space, and I want to lend some hope and some just really hope that they can Because if they love up on this space like I love up on basketball, the sky is the limit, and sometimes you just need a little push every now and then to say, keep going. If you want this, keep going, even when the odds are stacked against you.
Well, have you gotten another dog? I know Champ, who's sitting on the couch beside us while we're doing this interview, came from the national championship in 2017, right? And,
Indeed.
Yeah, and what does he think about a possible new dog in the Staley household, or is that going to happen or no? He looks very calm right now.
Champ said a hard no. Like, it's a hard no. A hard no. And I do think another dog would help him, shape him a little bit better. But he suffers from the only child syndrome. And I don't think he'll be 5 in October, so I don't think he's willing to give up his space in the household or on the bed at night. So no, I'm not going to do that. And I travel a whole lot, so it's a lot, it's a lot to ask someone to watch 2 dogs. But there are also these places that treat them really, really good. I haven't tried them yet because there's so many people that lined up to watch Champ.
Does he understand that he's a dog?
No. Not at all. Not at all. But it's probably because of how I treat him. Like my sister, she always asks, if I have a speaking engagement, sometimes I'll take Champ, and she'll ask me, "Is Champ going?" I said, "Am I going?" Like he goes to a lot of places, and honestly, people don't see me anymore, and they just see Champ. They just gravitate towards Champ.
Yeah. Dogs we have 2, and they're just wonderful companions,
yes,
right?
They are.
I mean, have you seen that bumper sticker ever that says, "I just want to be the person my dog thinks I am," or whatever?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because they are just like, you talk about unconditional love. It does not matter if you lost.
Does not matter.
Had a bad day.
But I don't know my life. I don't know what my life was like before him.
Really?
Seriously, he's just.
Did y'all grow up with? I know you were one of 5 children, right?
I don't like dogs. I just like shit.
Oh, you don't like dogs? Okay. So
I'm afraid of
explain
dogs.
that.
I'm afraid of dogs. Really, I am. I've gotten bitten by a dog in my, my childhood. So I'm always like, Well, how I got Champ is, my niece who was living with me at the time, she told me one of her friends asked her if she would watch a 7-week-old puppy, right? Mm-hmm. It's the cutest thing. Cutest. Ace was his name. And I used to walk by Ace in the garage, in his crate, and I didn't say anything to him. I didn't, I would say hi, but I would just keep going. I wouldn't interact with them because I know me. So I started feeling bad that, she couldn't bring him in the house because I'm allergic. And then, it's months. Yeah. We were talking about Christmas, and then he's still at the house in May. Uh-oh. So I'm like, we gotta go get him his shots. We gotta go, So I started playing with him, and I was like, let's go, let's take him. So I ended up taking him to get his shots, and then he got neutered. And then the weekend that he got neutered, he started shaking. So I'm like, this isn't right. So I'm taking the dog to the emergency room, and they said he was a little dehydrated. So I got all of that. I should have got into pet care, taking care of pets.
That's when you need that new contract.
Right. Right. So they filled him with antibiotics and took him home, and then for 10 days he was good on the antibiotics, and then one day my sister had him, and he had a drunken walk.
Oh yeah.
So she was like, something's wrong with Ace. So I scooped him up, took him back, and I told him something's wrong, and they actually had me leave him and do some testing, and I was like, yeah, do whatever you need to do to save his life or whatever. So they called me, and they were like, he's got some kind of white matter in his brain, and they said that type of dog early on, they're susceptible to brain injuries. And so they said, but we share the parking lot with a neurologist. So took him over, and they basically said, get these items, there's a possibility that you can, you can reverse it. But we tried for like a month, and yeah. So I mean, that, like, my nephew just showed me pictures of Ace, and we talked about that dreaded day that we had to take him, and yeah, I mean, it was the worst. Like, I don't think I've cried like that ever, for a young, he was 6 months.
Oh,
so it was
wrenching. Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
So Coach Boyer in our office, who's been with me for 20 years now, thought it would be great that I get a dog, but she saw how much I cared for Ace.
Oh, yeah.
So a good thing came out of it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
Yes.
They're part of the family,
They
aren't
are.
they? Well, last thing, let's just talk, I guess, a little bit about this season. And I mean, you guys will go back in as defending national champions, a wonderful team with you. How do you sort of deal with that? You've had to do it before.
I mean, same thing. We have players who just want to win. Like, they have an insatiable desire to win. Like, they've had I would say, the 2019 class, they've had a lot of heartbreak in their careers. The pandemic ended in their freshman year. We were number one team in the country. They lost in the semifinals, in the Final Four, in a heartbreaking way. They go on and win. I think they want to balance out their careers and winning another one. I mean, it's the same thing. I don't think we change our approach to it. I would say this: as coaches, we got to find a way to keep them engaged and challenged. So we're just trying to keep them challenged, because we do the same thing for 22 years. We've approached it the same way, putting our defense in and just from the ground up, just working out. We're probably leaning out from an offensive standpoint, where we were figuring out what we were good at offensively, and where we need to get better at. Like, I do think we need to get better in transition. We didn't do that. So we're concentrating on areas where we weren't great, and try to become great, because it's virtually the same team. And I mean, they want to win.
It is not unfinished business any longer. South Carolina has captured its second national championship.
They want to win. So yes, our fans are going to want us to win every single game. I like our fans because they're more like Philly fans. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. Like, it's a life. When the Sixers didn't win the NBA championship, we're mad. We're mad. I know we were injured, but we're mad. Same thing with the Eagles. Like, oh my God, talk radio. We don't win on Sundays.
Oh,
it's brutal.
End of the world. Yeah.
End of the world. Mm-hmm. So our fans are like that, and I don't mind it, because it puts a little pressure on us to perform at a high level, but also it's a lifestyle for them. It's really, they want to know when we play. They want to know the schedule early, because they have to take time out of work. They got to buy season tickets. It's a big part of their life's pie. And I think that's super cool. So anytime that we can win and win championships, they win.
We should point out that you have led the country in attendance for 8 years in a row. 12,268 was your average attendance last year. What did y'all draw when you played at Virginia, like roughly for a college game?
I mean, we were pretty good at the end of my career. We were probably around 8,000.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
A 5'6" sophomore from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, number 24, Dawn Staley.
Because you've played in a lot of arenas where there's not that sort of support.
Oh, yes.
Right, yeah.
And it's actually a disadvantage when we go on the road and there's not a lot of people. So we have to adjust.
No, really, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like people have to adjust to playing in front of a big crowd. So it's cool though. You know, I am not responsible for the attendance record. Our fans are responsible
Sure.
for that, because when I came here, I never looked at the crowd. I never looked at like, oh, I want to fill this arena. I never said that. I never visualized it. I just wanted to win the national championship, and I didn't really know what that looked like because I had never won a national championship.
Dawn Staley.
Oh, geez, how did she put that ball in?
Right,
Now I know, though.
Yeah, twice.
And I know that everybody can't win one. Seriously, everybody, you know, unless you've won one and you've been through it, you know. But when you start the season off and say, let's go win a national championship, it's much, much harder than verbalizing it.
Yes, actually doing it.
That is one of the most glittering athletic resumes we have seen anybody produce in this country. Not just in basketball, in this country.
And I don't think this will be the end of her national championships.
Perhaps just the beginning for South Carolina.
Well, this has been a wonderful conversation, Coach. That's Coach Dawn Staley. This is Sports Legends of the Carolinas. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you again for subscribing and supporting local journalism. Next.
Hi, I'm Bob McKillop, the basketball coach at Davidson College, and I'll be the next guest on Sports Legends of the Carolinas.
I'm Scott Fowler, and this is Sports Legends of the Carolinas. This show is produced by Jeff Seiner and Cotta Stevens, and the director of audio at McClatchy is Davin Coburn. For lots more content and to continue supporting this kind of work, please visit charlotteobserver.com/sportslegends and consider a digital subscription. Connect with me on Twitter at Scott_Fowler or by email at sfowler@charlotteobserver.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, please share with a friend. See you next week.